And we should be live. It's time to build a Voron. I'm really pretty excited about doing this. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, for the UK, if you're not in the UK or elsewhere further away than it would be afternoon, then good day, night, morning, or other relevant timescale. Anyway, yes, today we're going to be building a Voron. I'm pretty excited to do this. I am a little bit sick, but not too much. So my throat is a little bit weird, but other than that, we should be fine. I feel pretty fine, just a little bit of a weird throat. So, yes, before we get started, I do have to let you know this is sponsored because that's the thing I have to do. So just a quick thing to let you know who is sponsoring. This video would not have been possible without our sponsors, Filafarm and BigTreeTech. So a big thank you to them for supporting Vector 3D. You can find out more by just watching some more, or you can follow the links in the video description. Wonderful, a big thank you to them. So the first thing we're going to do is actually look at some of those parts that they are sponsoring. Partly because they're sponsoring, but partly because they're kind of maybe a little bit different to what other people have used. In terms of answering questions about what I'm doing, I'm building a Voron. It's the weird numbering. Okay, it's a Voron 2 version 2.4. Everyone just calls it 2.4. So it's a 2.4. I'm doing the 300mm size. I have self-sourced it, although like companies do like little kits of all the things that they do. So I've gone for those in a few instances. So there's a bunch of kind of AliExpress stuff. There's Filafarm, there's BigTreeTech, and there's some other UK and other local places as well. So it's not like one of the all-in-one kits, but it's also not, I've not just ordered every single individual piece from every tiny little place. Audio sync issue. Why is there an audio sync? Thank you for letting me know. Why is there an audio sync issue? There is, isn't there? This is bizarre. It was literally fine like 10 seconds ago. Well, just before I started. Thank you for letting me know though. How do we fix that? That's a good question. Let's try. How are we going to fix that audio sync issue? Let's just turn this camera off and back on again. Hello. Hello. Is it weird? I think it's fine now. I think it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We're good. No more panicking. The other thing actually I want to show you is this little rig that I built. Off by half a second. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's okay for me. I've just noticed my stream looks fine, so. Apologies if it is a bit weird for some of you, but it doesn't seem to be everyone, so that means I can't really fix it. If it does kind of increase in terribleness, then we can maybe look at changing it. But at the moment, I'm going to carry on and hope everything's fine. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is the stuff from BigTreeTech. So BigTreeTech, as we know, are a sponsor. Got a little message on screen to let you know that. And so they've provided the Octopus control board. So this is one of the, well, sort of recommended. Like originally it was like a couple of SKR boards, wasn't it? But more recently, this seems to be more popular because you can get all of the drivers you need from one control board. And what a big control board it is. So let's just switch so you can see it nice and close. So you can get up to 8 stepper drivers. There's actually 9 plugs, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if you wanted to have a dual Z on a single stepper driver, you can actually do that as well. So obviously 32-bit control board, 32-bit processor. You've got multiple different inputs. So you got, it can have like different power for different things. So you got you can have a different voltage for your motors as you do for the board, and then also a different one again for the bed, and then you got the bed output. So if you wanted to have like 12 volts for the board, 24 volts for the motor, and 48 volts for the bed, or 36, I'm not sure exactly how high the bed power voltage will go up to, but you can have different for each. And that also helps if you just want to spread between different power supplies. So it can be maybe not that easy to get an enormous 24 volt power supply or something if you wanted, but this just gives you options. That's the main thing. You've also got a whole load of fan outputs rather, and again you can select different voltages for those. Your typical array of end stops, TFT, you've got a location where you can add Wi-Fi module. You can have CAN, so that's pretty fancy as well. So CAN is basically like a signaling protocol which you can use for reducing wires. So let's not go into that too much, but the CAN, it does support CAN and USB-C, so it comes with a cable, and of course it comes with a rubber duck as well. I still don't understand why BigTreeTech supply rubber ducks, but they do. It's a thing. Everything comes with a rubber duck. So yes, that's the board I'm going to be using. Put it away for now. It's not going to be needed all the time, so we'll stick that over there, and that will be available when we need it. Of course, to go in the board, because there's no actual stepper drivers built in, you have to add them on top. So again, from BigTreeTech, we've got a bunch of TMC 2209 stepper drivers. So there's not a lot to say about stepper drivers. TMC 2209 support stall guard, which is sensorless end stop. They support stealth chop and spread cycle. So you should be able to get a good mix of silence and performance and sensorless homing if that's what you want to do. That's just a quick look at those. There's not much to look at with stepper drivers, I'll be honest. And then of course you've got the display as well. So Voron, I believe, it's weird trying to spec a Voron when you've never built a Voron, but here you go. We've got a 12864, a mini 12864 display. So this will be the display that goes on the front. So we'll be able to connect that up to the control board using a couple of wires, and that will give us the display and controls that we need. So thank you very much, obviously, to BigTreeTech for providing all of that. That's pretty good. Great to have someone supporting the live streams. We don't have space to keep all of this stuff out, so move these off to the side. Of course, there was only 5 stepper drivers in there. I've got 2 boxes of those, so we're good for that. We don't need the rubber ducks immediately. And then we've got this huge package from Filafarm. Now, so Filafarm are a German company based in Germany. They do a whole load of kind of 3D printing services, but they also produce these super high performance printed beds, 3D printer beds. So they've sponsored and also provided me this full kit of everything. So I've actually used Filafarm for quite a few years. I keep going back to them. They're pretty fantastic, if I do say so myself. I have scratched it, which is really sad. I'm annoyed that I managed to do that. I've actually managed to scratch it twice, which is even worse. But there you go. It does come absolutely pristine with the covers on, but I've already taken it out and done some photos and stuff, so that's why it's kind of a little bit damaged already. Sorry, Filafarm. I did try my best to keep it spick and span, but I was in a bit of a rush. So we've got the bed heater, to Voron spec. I've modified some additional dimensions to get some better coverage on the bed and some clearance for where the mounting holes are. So mine is a 230 volt, 600 watt version. If you want 110 for US, etc., you can get that. And if you want different powers, you could, but Voron recommends 600 watts, so that's what I've gone with. For the bed plate, this is literally just the Voron spec, I'm pretty sure. So 8mm thick, super duper flat, super duper heavy. I mean, this is such a gorgeous printed bed. That's a better side because I've not scratched it on that side. It's really difficult to video these. As you can see, the machining marks just make this ridiculous reflection, and it's so flat. It's absolutely stunning. The spreadsheet lists 450 watts. No, that must be for a smaller one. 100% sure it's 600 watts for this one. Is that my spreadsheet or the Voron spreadsheet? Because I've got, so for anyone that's not noticed already, in the description there is a link to a Google Doc where I've put all the sources for all the parts that I have. Some of those obviously will differ slightly from the originals, but those are all the links that I've used. Where it says sourced by Vector 3D, that's not just I've summoned it out of nowhere. That's kind of stuff that I already had. So it's difficult for me to provide links for things. They might be old, they might not be available anymore. So I've just put, that's the stuff I already had. So, you know, the things that I had, the things that I bought, the things that were sponsored, all in that Google Doc. So in my spreadsheet, oh, then I've made a mess of that, haven't I? It should say 600 watts. So I've got two of these switch plates. So these are 0.6 aluminium springs, 0.6 millimeter spring steel. So really good thickness for spring steel. If you have it too thin, then the magnet cannot hold it very strong, and so you don't get very good magnetic gripping. I've lost the word for that. But yeah, the magnet doesn't tend to hold it down very well. So there's nice thicker ones, still good for being able to bend, but they don't flex when you don't want them to. Then we've got the magnet. So suitable for 120 degrees Celsius, so going to be good for everything. And then we've got the two surfaces. Now we've got to be very careful not to touch the surfaces. That's the one thing with the Filafarm surfaces, is you can't clean them with things like acetone and IPA and stuff like that. So you have to be very careful not to touch them with your fingers and get grease on them. So they look the same on camera, but this one is kind of matte, so a bit rougher, a bit more textured, and this one is glossy. So they'll provide slightly different finishes and probably slightly different capability, maybe like very slightly with some materials, but by and large they are the same material and have the same properties. Mostly the finish will just be, the bottom of the print will look kind of matte or textured instead of glossy, depending on which one you go with. For cleaning them, you actually just use like kitchen towel and water, and then you heat the bed up and it kind of steam cleans the bed. Obviously you do have to be a little bit careful when you're working around mains wiring using water, but it tends to, I mean, I've done it for years and not any problems, so there you go. That's all that stuff. Again, not sure exactly when in the instructions I'm going to need these things, so I'm going to move them out of the way for now. Obviously we'll get them back when those are needed. Are you putting them on either side of the spring steel sheet? No, I've got two spring steel sheets here, so I'll probably just use both of those spring steel sheets. Obviously, yeah, I guess you could. You probably wouldn't want to, because it's you don't want to be touching this surface. It's probably better just to use it on one side, because otherwise it can be hard to flex the sheet, flex the spring steel, if you can't grip it on either side. So I think that's going to go there for the moment. I'm not going to go through all the other parts because I don't think it's really necessary. Obviously there isn't much unboxing because it's self-sourced. There's no like inspection of the kit stuff. If you want to know what I have purchased, then again, that Google Docs link, apart from apparently I put the spec wrong for the bed that I've got. So the other thing I'm going to show you before we get started is this. I've not used it yet. So Voron, if you're not aware, uses brass threaded inserts, which is just like a little brass, it's basically like a brass nut with a special texture on the outside, and you can heat them up and press them into 3D printed parts, and then when they cool, they provide a thread that's a bit more reliable, presumably, supposedly, allegedly, than just threading into the plastic, and presumably saves a little bit of space or some reason over using an M3 nut. So they're used quite a lot on Voron, so I decided to make this little rig that would hopefully help me insert them straight, because the one thing with them is because it's very hot, you can end up putting them in squiff and then your assembly's not quite right. So hopefully this will allow me to assemble everything nice and square. So we've got basically a soldering iron here, This will plug into my soldering station thing. And then, we've got googly eyes at the top, which have just come off. The googly eyes are super important. And then I'm hoping this will kind of just get hot. I can place the part down here with the threaded insert on it, move this down, press it in, and let go, and that'll just work. I've not used it yet, so I have no idea how well it will actually do what I want it to do, but that's the general plan. So I think it's just super satisfying doing this. I've had it on my desk while I've been working during the week, and I just, it's just fun to do. And you can, because it uses these V-slot wheels, if you tighten them more than they want to be tightened, they just basically have a little bit more friction. So you can change the rate at which it bounces back. Obviously you can change the weight, so I've used a stepper motor as a weight, but if you tighten the wheels, it just kind of ends up going like back really slow. It's just fantastic. So at the moment, it's just been a nice ornament that I've bolted into this rounded piece of wood, screwed into this rounded piece of wood. But hopefully today it will get some use and it'll work. If it doesn't, then we'll take the soldering iron out. One of the nice things we can do is there's no screws or anything. I did originally have this as a screw bracket, but this should just come out. And then we got the soldering iron back as a normal soldering iron if I want to use it, you know, for soldering. So that just fits in there, and that fits on there. Absolutely lovely. I'm really happy with how it looks. Hopefully it functions as well as that. Huh. So as normal, YouTube's got absolutely no idea how many people are watching. On one single screen that has like the stats of the video, one place says 77, the other said 45. So I think it's probably time to get started with the build. I should mention, I actually don't have the stepper motors yet. They're sort of stuck on a ship, or they have been stuck on a ship, so they are a little bit delayed. I'm aware that they come up quite early in the build, but we're just going to have to work around them. It looks like I can kind of skip past them and come back, so that's going to be sort of the plan for today. James Rushmore 3D asks, can I ask why you went with PIF, which is the print it forward rather than print yourself? So, good question. So for anyone that doesn't know, Print It Forward is a scheme that's kind of set up by Voron to give people access to ABS printing. So basically how it works is people that have Vorons and I think you have to get your serial number, you have to validate that you get decent print quality, and then you can sign up to be able to provide people, in exchange for some money, a kit of parts to build a Voron. So that people that have Vorons can allow people to make more Vorons. Because ABS parts, generally not that easy on some cheaper 3D printers. The reason that I went to use Print It Forward rather than just print on printers I already have is I didn't actually have an enclosure, so that's one good reason. But the main reason was actually that I kind of initially planned to do kind of a full review of everything. So for people that could use that system, might want to know how well that works or what kind of quality you can expect. So I went with that. It obviously cost me more than probably just printing it from the material, but the prints look absolutely fantastic, so not upset at all. Got 3D Gusner here. Welcome back, my friend. So, what are we doing today? It's time to move on to some instructions. So, the normal way that I do this, for those that have not done my live streams before, we got in the top right corner all the assembly manuals. So, although everything is kind of a little bit smaller, I try to have everything on screen at once, so if I forget to move the camera in one direction, you can still see what's going on. And with the manual, it'll allow you to follow along if you want to. The wiring, I am expecting to be disgustingly tidy, at least hoping for anyway. So yes, we've got this manual here. It does move and it is live. If you want to follow along with your own separate manual or look through it independently, Some people don't like when somebody else has control of a manual. Anyway, there's more links in the description. There's a whole load of stuff in there. So where to buy things, the stuff that I've used, information about Voron, to the website, to the manual, and all that kind of stuff. There's 135 pages of instructions. Excellent. Well, we'll get started with page 1 today. There is a bunch of kind of safety information and setup things in here. So the manual is actually kind of a pre-assembly manual as well. So if you're looking into doing a Voron but haven't decided or bought anything yet, this is a great place to start. Gives you some kind of information on how to buy things, what to look at, the accent colors, part naming, and all that kind of stuff. If you want to print yourself, got a whole load of instructions. The text, unfortunately, is quite small in this guide, which is the one thing that it could be a bit of a downside, because I don't know how well it's going to come through on the stream. The Discord, I can highly recommend joining. There's a link there, or you can go get it in the manual. There's lots of helpful people. There's loads of different channels for all the vendors, for different countries, sourcing guides, sharing things. There's all sorts in there. And it's very active. There's lots of people in there. So if you want some help getting started, that's a great place to go. I'm going to try and avoid talking too much, because otherwise my voice will be dead by the end of the day. And of course it says, best of luck. Hopefully we won't need luck and we can do it based on, I don't know. Bit of a guide on naming things. Metric fasteners, domed head, button head, hex, shims, idlers, pulleys, heatset inserts. Grub screw. I'm not really reading this. I did look at it once and now I've not looked at it for a while. This is self-sourced, mostly. I mean, yes, but self-sourced from other kits kind of thing. Lots of companies providing like partial kits. Parts. So frame. I've got, you might be able to see all the things kind of laid out up here. I did want to have a camera like set up, but I've run out of cameras. So you can't see all of this stuff. You'll just have to see it as we use it. Tried to organise myself a little bit so we don't have to wait around too much, but you never know. And then we got these 4 extrusions too. So the extrusions are not, I can't remember, I mean the link will be in the thing. I didn't buy them from a particularly well-known source or anything. They're not official Mizumi and they're not LDO. They are just some extrusions. The quality looks reasonable. The ends are a little bit scruffy. I mean, I wouldn't say they're 100% on quality. I don't know what they're going to be like dimensionally yet, but they look reasonable. I could have used a phone, but I don't know how to get a phone then to a computer. And then you got, yeah. I have put my sourcing sheet in the description, so yes. If you want to know what I've bought, where I got from. Sometimes I just try and talk more than I really need to. Use a low strength thread lock compound here. So this is a weird thing. In the BOM they say to get this, which is Loctite thread locker as a glue stick. What? I've always used it like a little liquid, so that's going to be interesting. Oh, I see how this works. I'd not actually looked into how the joints are working, but now I can see. I've got to find the right screws. M5 by 16. Oh, please don't say I haven't got any. I'm 100% sure that I have the right screws. I just have to find them. Socket, button head, M5 by 16. Whew, that was close. This is the thing with like self-sourced kits. Like, obviously I'm responsible for getting everything here, whereas with a normal kit, with like a full kit, everything just sort of appears when it needs to. Right. Tools wise. Oh, by the way, there's more links for my tools now in the description. So for people that were wondering what I was using and always had to ask, there's now more links. But there's also some more tools. So I got some they're like screwdrivers, but ball head Allen socket key things. So I'll be using these probably quite a lot because they're quite new and I've enjoyed using them so far. They give you the kind of flexibility of using a screwdriver, but obviously Allen head. So these are kind of like a butt joint by the look of it. So the hole in the extrusion is actually more for getting a screwdriver through than it is for bolting through, which is what I thought they were going to be. So I think we've got threads. Yeah, we've got threads in the end of these short ones. I'm not sure quite why these need to be so long. Oh, really. Well, that's not going to work. Oh, this is not a good start, is it? So the threads in my extrusions don't seem to be quite long enough for these M5x16. They might just be there. I'm not sure really why they have to be 16 millimeters long. It seems like 10 would probably be plenty, or 12. These are huge. So the problem I'm having on the very first screw is without the thread being long enough, it kind of stops here. Let me try and show you. So this is one of the things that where having the right kit can be the difference between functional and not functional. So that's screwed all the way in. And now obviously there's only a small amount of profile that's going to lock into. So that looks like it might just work, but so that's the kind of thing you're trying to achieve. So obviously the amount that that screw can go in is going to be important. I don't have an M6 tap, so I can't extend the thread. I can reduce the length of the screw or just hope for the best. So today we're going to be hoping for the best. That seems okay. So the downside I'm seeing with this joint at the moment is that it doesn't align itself very well. Again, there's no washer, so as you tighten it, it starts to pull. It twists. It did say use thread locker, so we should do that. Did forget about that. Not sure really how much. I wonder when these manufacturers put these bill of materials together for things like this, how much they test it. I'm going to go with 0. This is, I thought this would be much easier than this. Makes you really value joints that go together squarely and straightly. I don't think there's space in the profile for the head of the screw and a washer. I mean, it wouldn't even need to be a locking washer, just a standard washer would be enough to allow for that bit of freedom that you need. Okay, that's not too bad though. We're getting there. Oops, amazing. I think it might be a little bit easier with more extrusion installed. We'll see. So the instructions suggest build the frame on a glass surface to ensure you get it as square as possible. Glass being well known for being particularly fragile, and extrusions with sharp edges make me think that's maybe not a super great idea. One thing I had considered doing is getting a granite surface, because they're probably not as flat, smooth as glass, but they're a bit more difficult to damage. And they're nice and heavy, and they're a bit more durable. Oh, these are... I'm literally just tapping this hole with the screw now. And this is coming loose in the process. Corners of these ones, aren't they? I saw someone, did I see someone that mentioned jigs? Yeah. It's, if they were mentioned in the instructions, like at the start, then maybe I missed them. But I do always recommend jigs. Jigs are so useful. Yeah, getting this. Because as soon as I tighten it, look, it just moves the whole thing. So I have to hold that, tighten that, but then this is going to move. So my recommendation is make sure you have 6 hands. That's, I think, the minimum number of hands. Oh, this one is actually threaded enough. This end is not. Yeah, I think really the screw should be able to thread all the way into here before the profile's in place. That would be a good indicator that the extrusions are the right size. Ooh. So I've no idea if I'm using enough thread locker, but it seems to be kind of gooping out the hole as I put it in, so I reckon it should be a sufficient amount. It's basically just glue, so oh, this one's terrible. I'm going to need a shorter screw for this hole. Let's check what other short screws I have. Oh, I'm on tethered as well. 5x8, 50. I think I've got some 10s that should be spare over here. Thread's nowhere near long enough in that hole, so switching out the screw. I can't imagine this being a significant problem. There's still a lot of thread going into this, so should be all good. Even that 10's only just going in here. Which one? So the tool. Ooh. Oh, that's wrong. How are we going to do? So let's check what we're good for our length. Let's put some. So for those wondering, the threads in these extrusions are a bit sloppy as well, and that's never going to be long enough. Yeah, well, half an hour in, now's a good time for a sponsor spot. Thank you. Oh, excuse me. So, quick promotional segment from our video sponsors. This live stream would not have been possible without our sponsors, Filafarm and BigTreeTech. Filafarm are a 3D printing bed specialist based in Germany. Filaprint is their high-performance, durable print surface designed to grip parts tightly when hot, but release them when cold. Their switch system utilises a strong magnetic sticker and 0.6mm spring steel to allow for easy swapping of bed surfaces. The bed plates offered are made from cast aluminium plate and are extremely flat, helping you get the best adhesion across the whole first layer. All of this can be made to standard sizes or customised upon request. Keep on watching to find out more, or follow the links in the video description. The BigTreeTech Octopus is a 32-bit control board with loads of connectivity options for performance 3D printers like the Voron 2.4 and RapRig VCore 3. It can connect up to 8 stepper drivers, 8 fans, 6 end stops, 5 thermistors, 4 heaters plus BL Touch, RGB LEDs, a TFT screen, USB-C and more. Pairing the Octopus with TMC 2209 stepper motor drivers allows for quiet operation using Stealth Chop, performance using Spread Cycle and Stool Guard for sensorless homing. BigTreeTech also offer a mini 12864 display, which is ideal for the Voron 2.4 design. Check the links in the description to find out more. Right, so I've used a couple more 10mm screws instead of 16. Use of 16mm is really bizarre. Is the Voron a good printer? Apparently, but I think the evidence suggests that I don't know yet. Huh? not super flat either. Yeah, you can't skip sponsor segments when they're live, can you? JK. What does it say to do next? Check the frame. Use a framing square and ensure all corners are as square as possible before moving on, or you may have problems later on when you start printing. Is it difficult to design a 3D printer yourself? Yes. I mean, mostly it's just a lot of time. I don't know if your question is like asking me if it's possible for me to do it, or if it's possible for one in general to do such a thing. The answer to both is yes. Depends how much free time you have to do it, because it does take a lot of that. Hello, Domenico. It's nice to see people returning from other live streams. No worries, man. It's alright, I've got one. You can see it on there. That guy that James mentioned, I got one from him. And it looks pretty good, so we're all set. No worries. Ooh, soon as you that frightened the life out of me. I haven't precision pressed it from Filafarm. I haven't installed it on my CR10S yet. Zero experience in electric wiring, especially involving the mains. Yeah, make sure you know what you're doing before you start fiddling with that kind of thing. There's definitely, the frame kind of sits square, but there's definitely some weird pretension in it because of the screws and the weird design. But I think we'll manage. I've just basically switched to using 10mm screws now. I think the 16 is a little bit daft, to be honest. I mean, even with a 10mm screw, what it sticks out to, you've still got 8mm of engagement. I can't imagine that not being enough, especially when you've got thread lock as well. Like maybe 12mm would be perfect. 16 seems excessive. But who am I to judge? You know what's funny? That is literally the first question everybody asks. It's not a Formbot kit, it's not an all-in-one kit, but there are lots of little suppliers that supply little bits of kits. So I've got some of those. For example, a not sponsor, POW GE, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. They supply a whole load of stuff that's the right dimensions for the Formbot, for the Voron. They're not a recommended supplier, but they're a supplier on the Voron bomb. and they just so happen to make a kit for all the Voron parts that you would need. So I bought that because it's much easier to order one thing that has everything in it than order 15 different things from 50 different places and hope they will get here on time. So that was kind of my reasoning behind getting these partial kits. Has the stream just sort of died, or is it just me? Not all good. Is that supposed to be a no, all good? No, comma, all good. Stream's still running, okay. Mine's just frozen on my screen. But if it's alright for everyone else, then we can carry on. Oops, it is. Oh, what am I doing? Full. Already got screwing it. Now, one thing you might have noticed, I've not measured anything, so I'm just going by the length of these extrusions and making everything flush. So hopefully that's going to work out okay for me. Macporium with a £20 donation. Very kind of you. Thank you very much. Good luck with the build. Excited to see it come together. Me too. It's been a long time coming. I've had my printed forward parts since, like, what, April? Right. We seem to have 2 extrusions left over, which is confusing. So I've got a little engineer's square in here somewhere, and we can check how the angles are looking. Oh, for anyone that's not aware, by the way, Macporium is one of the shops in the UK that sells lots of Voron parts. So that's off a little bit. That looks pretty good. That's pretty good. It's off a little bit the other way. That's off half a degree. Yeah, everything's off a little bit. I don't know if it's the lengths of the extrusions or just the twisting that's occurred through the assembly process. I don't think I'm going to get any more square than that. Again, it's a similar kind of situation that we had with the rat rig printer, to be honest, where like the frame design is fine, but the assembly process to get there is always super important. This one was not perfect. What made you decide to build a Voron although you already have the rat rig? Because I make YouTube channels, things, videos, stuff, comparison. That's why. Yeah. I guess like content is one reason, but it just looks interesting. I love building stuff. Like building kits is my favorite thing to do, probably. So there you go. Frame top. We've checked they're parallel and they're not, but it's not far off. I think it's going to be okay. Oh, I see why there's little open builds angles now, because they made these all the same length. So we need those to finish it off. Ah. Oh look, it's all the screws for the frame. Oh dear. I wish I'd have known. Well, they're all 16mm, so they probably would have been too long anyway. That is interesting though. So this little bag, by the way, came with the frame kit. So they're well aware of the screws that are needed to put it together. They're well aware of the screws needed to assemble it, yet they didn't actually fit. So yeah, I probably wouldn't recommend this particular frame kit. If they improve it, then sure, but I'm not really in contact with them in any way, so I'd have no way to verify that anything has been changed or done. But if it's to the Voron spec, I don't know exactly. I've not looked in the BOM in that much detail to know. So that was very close to a Jimmy Carr. I do have a bit of a Jimmy Carr laugh, I'm not going to lie. It's not great. It's not a great situation. What is more difficult when designing a 3D printer, the hardware or the software? Interesting question, actually. They both definitely come with their own challenges. Software for me, oh my god, these nuts are I'm not using those. These are the softest, roundest, most garbage looking T-nuts I've ever seen in my life. I'm just not using those. Anything else, please? I can't even use them. They won't even go in, will they? How am I supposed to use that? Clearly proof that they've no idea what they're doing. They don't suggest what nuts to use. You need some M5 hammer nuts. I'm going to assume I can use these. Well, they don't fit. Oh, for the love of... Well, that's going to be absolutely hopeless, isn't it? What about the M3 ones I have? Do they even fit? No, useless. Okay, this is going to be problematic. None of the nuts I have fit the frame. Can they fit if I slide them in the end? Oops, it is. Yeah, they fit in the end, but they don't roll in like this. No, these are rolling ones, so they're supposed to be fitted in from the side like that. And then you push them down, they've got like a spring ball on the back, they're just supposed to slot in and then they fit. And now nothing. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's going to be problematic, isn't it? Just having a look what other nut options I have. So I should have some standard M5 hammer nuts. Let me just go see if I can find those. Should be over here somewhere. No, those are big ones, not hammer ones. Square nuts. 5 washers. Oh dear, ladies and gentlemen, we do appear to have a bit of a sticky situation. Where's the rest of my M5 hammer nuts? Because I should have a few hundred of them. Oh, they're in a thing, aren't they? Hang on a minute. Just a little second. They're in a different place. Right. Do you reckon you can? No, it's not going. They're going to jam in there before they actually fit in there. That's now jammed. Oh dear. So, do these work? So, I've not been very good with trying to get decent camera angles today. Bit out of practice on the old live stream front. You know what? I think the frame is just the wrong spec. Why doesn't even these standard C-slot nuts fit? Nothing fits. What the hell? Oh dear, problems, problems, problems. Sorry, I'll try and answer the question about what's harder to design in a minute. Remind me when I fix this issue. Because if we don't fix this, then we can't really get any further. What am I going to do? Let's check with a piece of other extrusion. Oh, this is V-slot. I don't really want V-slot. All the other extrusion I have is V-slot. Let's just have a look, see what works. So we know where we're at. See, that's exactly how that's supposed to go in. And that's... I think this whole frame is just the wrong thing. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This is a problem, isn't it? I think the extrusion frame is just the wrong dimensions. Because all the hardware I have fits in V-slot, or have I... These were labelled, because the Voron have their little part numbers, which specify the right thing, and I bought everything according to those. Yeah, fitting via large amounts of force is not my idea of fun. I mean, I don't want to damage that. Let's find out. Okay, that one did actually go in eventually. That has gone in now. There's no way that's ever going to come out. So that's wasted. Yeah, we can get these in, but we might have to... I don't know. Changes might have to be made because I'm not super happy with that. Let's put this on the extrusion. So the question of when designing a printer, what's harder, hardware or software? So obviously it depends on skill sets you already have or whoever's building or designing the printer. Software has the advantage that typically nothing's really permanent. Even after you've shipped a printer, you can change software. So from that respect, it's easier because you can change things. But there's also maybe a lot more opportunity to mess things up in software. Hardware can tend to be just a very expensive endeavor because if you want things, normally you have to pay to get things. So whenever you need to change those things, you spend money to change them. Whereas with software, you can make changes and potentially it doesn't have to cost you much. I wouldn't say any one of them is more or less difficult. They just present different challenges. So we also need I mean, this is a cube, right? So this, it doesn't matter which sides we're going on at the moment. That one actually went in a bit easier than that one went in really easy as well. Strange, why did I have so much difficulty with the first ones? Maybe we are going to be okay. Oops, amazing. Yeah, so as long as I've got the like the bottom and the top. Oh, just lost things outside. Let's make 2 of these little assemblies first. So that's why I'm going to go on there. Let's do the other one. Oh, forgot to use Loctite stuff. Yeah, this is an M3 one down here that I'm probably never going to get out. If I can use it for something else, that's useful. Otherwise, I might put a screw in it just to stop it rattling. Maybe poor camera angles. So I've abandoned the 16mm screws. We're going for 10mm screws. Ooh, that's probably a bit generous. Get that through there. Get that on here. Doodle-boo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Right. Now we've got these weird shims. I don't know why we're just not using slightly shorter screws. But there you go. And why can't we use washers? Another bizarre decision. So I get those in there. This one I'm not going to do up with Loctite. Because we're not doing the tight at the moment, so we'll be coming back to them to move them and align them presumably. So leave them a little bit loose for now. Where's the other? Here they are. Thanks 3D Gusner. See you again soon. Enjoy your barbecue. Oh, that's not very good. Hang on a minute. These ends don't look very good. Let's I think I missed on this one as well to put Loctite. I did. So these are going down the front. Going to give it a bit of just so it moves. Right, the rails are in. I must say, don't particularly recommend that frame kit. So the one that's linked, probably don't use it. Just making some notes. This is one thing I regret doing from the rat rig stream is I had to kind of re-watch my own streams to remember everything that I thought of and did during those streams. So excuse me for pausing a minute to take some notes. Just basically saying frame kit is not particularly good and it's quite hard to make it square. just in case I do need to compare, because I'll probably do some comparisons obviously between this and the rat rig. It's kind of half the point. Right. How are we doing for time? An hour and 10 minutes. A lot of frames, even high quality ones, are suffering with bad T-nut insertion. Interesting. Well, it'll be interesting to see what I think the key to getting that part of the assembly right. Sorry, my voice is starting to go, as we might expect. Now I've got this frame like right in my face. I think the only way that it's going to get good with the T-nut insertion is if you have one supplier that will do both, that will kind of guarantee, if you like, that they fit well. All the time that you're buying frames from one place and nuts from another and slightly different nuts from another and screws from over here, screws should be fine. But having that consistency all from one place would really, really help, because you can have some sort of guarantee that they are actually going to fit. So mine kind of do. I mean, I've damaged the extrusion getting them in over here. We'll see how we go on. Switching back over to some instructions. Ooh, we're onto X-axis linear rails already. Exciting. Okie dokie, so as we're switching assembly, I'm going to, oh, they've got shit on them, try and tidy up what I've got. Those are probably going to go in the bin because, oh, no. Those can stay over there. That's going down there, that's going away, that extrusion's going away, that's going away. Move these screws and nuts out and we'll bring in the stuff that we need for the next bit. So, linear rails, I'm guessing we're going to need 4. It is quite nice that all of these seem to be the same length. That's quite convenient when sourcing things. Having common sizes is brilliant. My voice is going very weird, and sorry about that. So they've got this center rail installation guide. My box of parts, in fact, let's have a look through the box of parts, shall we? Because there's only 3 rails. Because that's not the thing that we've done. And they were part of the print it forward, so I feel like it might be useful for people to look at. Let's try and move the frame out the way. So the guy that printed these did them back in like March, April time. So he's actually not printing now. So you won't be able to get from the same person, but so this is all one enormous box of all the parts. The print quality seems to be really rather good. I'm very happy with how it looks. Let's do some close-up. So for example, bottom layer looks really good, top layers look like they've had ironing, etc. I don't know what any of these pieces really do. That looks like it grips the din rail. At the moment I'm really looking for that part you can see on screen. Oh, this looks like it. You've got this kind of guide that will help me keep the rails in the right place. So all my parts, all my accent parts are this blue colour, and the base colour obviously is black. I actually made those myself. So I've actually got even the stuff for the whole filter pack. This is another reason I wanted them done by Voron printed forward, because printing large ABS parts like this on a printer without an enclosure probably wouldn't go super well. So got all these parts as well. All looking rather good. print quality is absolutely fantastic, to be honest. I was not expecting quite that high quality. It was quite expensive. I can't remember the price off the top of my head, so apologies for that. I guess the price will probably fluctuate a bit over time as well, so maybe not even relevant, the price that I had anymore. So yeah, parts looking really very good. Very happy with that. Definitely can recommend to print it forward if you want to build a Voron and don't have the capability to do it yourself. And to be honest, even if you do, sometimes it's nice to just have somebody else take care of it. So, 134. Wow, did I even sort that out? Wow, I didn't even expect that was on there. Thank you for checking. They don't normally include the exhaust. Did you pay extra? I did, yeah. So the guy that was printing was like, this is your like standard kit. Do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? I was like, so I think the skirts are more, they're like not part of the standard kit. The exhaust is not, so those are extra. I don't think I've got the like hinges and stuff for the enclosure. So I'll have to print those some point while we're doing this assembly. But everything else seems to be there, I think, probably. So hopefully everything's good. So looking at this, my voice is really starting to die. Again, it's not particularly clear what fasteners to use. It says the M3x8, but I don't know if I'm supposed to use those ones or the hammer nut ones, because the bomb had two different M3 nuts, T-slot nuts. It's got the hammer type and it's got the ball sprung type. So has anyone any suggestion? I think I have CAD. I have CAD of it. Hopefully we can get this running while the stream is going as well. Voron assembly is just loading up. I'm going to double check what it says. I saw your suggestion, thank you, to use the roll-in ones. But I'm going to, now that I've got the CAD, I feel like I should probably check myself as well. So hopefully we can Fusion 360. Bibbidi bobbidi boom. So there you go. There's Voron 2.4 in Fusion 360. So if we hide the panels, oh no, it's selecting things. My mouse is a little bit weird, so it kind of sometimes selects things I don't want it to. You should be able to press V to hide. Are they not shown? They do not show the nuts in there. So that answers that question. Well, doesn't really, but we're going to go with Alexander's suggestion, and we're going to use the roll-in nuts for anything that isn't panels. I love your accent. Which part of Australia are you from? That's amazing. I'm not from Australia. I'm from the UK. That's kind of great. So we've got to make sure we get these linear rails in the right place. So again, these linear rails are not really affiliated with any kit. They're just a generic supplier on AliExpress that just happened to have what looked like the right thing. Why does he speak Australian? I don't understand. What? I think I can do an Australian accent, and I don't think it's anything like a British accent. I can probably do an offensive Australian accent. Rail spacing. Make sure the rail is 3mm off the bottom. So I'm going to grab one way. It's recommended to be on a live stream, actually. Obviously, Allen keys, especially plain ones like this, have specific sizes. So across the flats, they'll be the right dimension. So you can use those, put them in the area where you need that space, and that will help you keep the spacing that you need to keep. G'day, mate. Yeah. Oh dear. I really shouldn't. You know what's probably a good idea? To lay this frame down. Oh dear, this is not it. So what I'm going to do is actually put one in each of the areas where, now that I've located where they need to go. And then I can stop flipping the frame around in all sorts of different orientations and not lose where I'm supposed to be putting them. I'm starting to get on a little bit better with these nuts now. I think maybe I was just being an idiot at the start. They seem to be not a problem now. That's an Allen key. So, how often does it say to put them in? Every other hole, but there's an absolute boatload of holes on here. I think every third is going to be fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think. So, yeah, that's the right spot. Looking in the right place. Ooh, let's hide under here. No, that's not. Here we go. 1, 2. 3. I feel like I should just, on the next stream, just try and do the entire thing with an Australian accent, just to see. Probably get a lot of negative comments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. Are the rails covered in packing grease? They're actually, no, not really. Not the kind that you're relating to. I mean, there's definitely some grease on them, but it's very, very light. There's no corrosion. They're stainless steel, so yeah. I mean, they don't look super, super duper high quality, but the motion is smooth across the whole length. It's quite light, but hopefully that's not going to be a problem. We need some screws. M3 by 8mm screws. M3 by 8 socket button. Do 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 do. 2mm, 2.5. The one thing I don't like at the moment about these screwdrivers, these Weir Allen head things, is the sizing is not obvious. So I don't know why we need to talk about this, but I'm going to because it's my live stream. Might be useful for someone looking to buy such a thing. So if you look at the Allen keys, because of all these colours, when you're doing an assembly, it's quite easy to look at from a distance, oh, that's the 3, that's 2.5, that's 1.5, etc., without having to read it every single time. So when they're just like scattered on a desk, you can go, I need the purple one, the light green one, the dark green one, etc. Whereas these are kind of all the same size, so, well, they're not the same size, but they're all the same colour. There's, obviously the size is different, so you can sort of see, but it's quite difficult. The only size is written on the end, and it's on small text on the handle. So what I'm thinking is I might try and print some little coloured, just like sleeves that I can push up to the end here, just to give them some colour and make it a little bit easier to get. Or tape. I think the 3D printed thing probably look a bit better. Tape tends to just look a bit rubbish over time. But yes, this is that kind of idea. So I need the 2.5 one. This is going to be quite difficult, actually. Let's try and align them before. Have I miscounted? 1, 2, 2, 2. That goes there. 2. That goes there. 2. That goes there. The rails are just quite a lot shorter than I expected for some reason. Some of these not super high quality. Threads are a little bit rubbish. Right, we're at an hour and a half. Now is going to be a good time for me to do another little quick short sponsor segment. So it's literally just like a minute and a half. Tells you a little bit more about the sponsors, to say thank you to them for sponsoring so we can do this. This live stream would not have been possible without our sponsors, Filafarm and BigTreeTech. Filafarm are a 3D printing bed specialist based in Germany. Filaprint is their high-performance, durable print surface designed to grip parts tightly when hot, but release them when cold. Their switch system utilises a strong magnetic sticker and 0.6mm spring steel to allow for easy swapping of bed surfaces. The bed plates offered are made from cast aluminium plate and are extremely flat, helping you get the best adhesion across the whole first layer. All of this can be made to standard sizes or customised upon request. Keep on watching to find out more, or follow the links in the video description. The BigTreeTech Octopus is a 32-bit control board with loads of connectivity options for performance 3D printers like the Voron 2.4 and RapRig VCore 3. It can connect up to 8 stepper drivers, 8 fans, 6 end stops, 5 thermistors, 4 heaters plus BL Touch, RGB LEDs, a TFT screen, USB-C and more. Pairing the Octopus with TMC 2209 stepper motor drivers allows for quiet operation using Stealth Chop, performance using Spread Cycle and Stool Guard for sensorless homing. BigTreeTech also offer a mini 12864 display, which is ideal for the Voron 2.4 design. Check the links in the description to find out more. I've just seen I was reading the comments while we had that ad spot. Coloured heat shrink definitely would be a really good way to label these. I like that idea, but obviously I've already got all the filament and I don't have the coloured heat shrink. So on that basis, probably do that. Missing an S on the overlay? Am I really? You may be self-conscious now. I'm going to have to check that. Okie dokie, so we're going to use this Allen key to give us that 3mm offset that we need. The Filafarm link is .com or .de, both should work. I think the .com one generally is just redirecting. They do have an English version on the website, so sponsored. It says sponsored instead of sponsored. Okay, well, you get the idea. As long as we can all agree it wasn't sponsored by anyone. It was only sponsored. So, okay, make sure it's on the flats rather than the verticals. Press it in place. We've got the tool in place to keep it central. I'm looking for the size again. Here we go. There's a comment here about thread locker as well. I guess you could, but the instructions don't say to. So I'm not going to. The instructions for the first part did explicitly state to use thread locker. So that's why I did it. When it doesn't say to do something, I'm probably not going to do it. That's looking pretty good. .com doesn't seem to work. What? Oh, that was weird. The voice went then. Filafarm.com works absolutely fine. Did you type it wrong, James? Or have I put it wrong? Oh, blimey. Okay, well, I'll change that. Maybe if I just put filafarm.com. I'm sure you guys can all find it, and I'll make sure I've updated it for the next stream. I think we'll just flip this 180 and we'll... One thing I do like about these rails that I've got is that they've got their rubber parts that prevent the thing coming off the end. And they're right at the end, so we don't have to worry about losing the carriage off the end of the rail, which doesn't sound like much, but it's a big deal. Well, it's good that it's there, put it that way. I don't know why I had so much problem with these at the start. This is weird, isn't it? Seems weird to me. Like, these were impossible to get in. I was obviously just doing something very wrong. There we go. Oops, a daisy. So, same as before, we'll stick the Allen key down the end. Shove that against that. Keep some force applied here. Put the clip on the end. Tighten the first one down. Bring it to the other end. Yeah, I don't know why I had that zoomed in so far. Tighten this one down. Right, now we can just go along and tighten these screws. One thing I do prefer about this type of nut as opposed to the hammer nuts is that because they're in position as soon as you're tightening them, there's no chance that you feel like it's tight when it's not. With hammer nuts, you can quite often tighten them in the wrong orientation. So because you need them to spin as you tighten them in order for them to lock, if they, for whatever reason, don't, which can happen quite a lot, you end up just clamping against the nut, but the nut's not clamping against the extrusion. So you end up with this annoying scenario where, oh, I can't get my Allen key out. You end up with this annoying scenario where you think you've tightened all your hammer nuts, but they're actually all still loose. So I think if we now rotate this way by 1 by 2, then we can do the next slot. There's quite a lot of this going on today, isn't there? I don't think this is taking quite as long as the rat rig rails though. That was a lot of screws, and I was following their instructions very rigidly. Whereas this time, I'm not so much. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. And we need a rail. Have I missed any questions? I don't think so. Why did I put the knife on? Tell you what, let's cut them all open while I'm here. That's looking pretty good. So that's a line here, that aligns there, that aligns there, that aligns there, that aligns there, that aligns there. 2.5. Okay, so obviously alignment's now the other end because I've turned the frame around. We're going to not push it against the end this time because you don't gain anything. It's a fraction of a millimetre and it makes it difficult to get the Allen key out. This rail looks a little bit bent, but maybe it's just an illusion. I think it's more like the extrusion's a bit bent. This does. I think it is bent. I think there's an arch in here. sounds, for some reason it sounds very different. Getting stuck in here as well. I think a bit of oil and it might actually clear up. Two, three. Oh, keep grabbing the wrong thing. 5, 6. What material have I used for my panels? Well, you can find it in the bill of materials. So I've put in, there's a Google Sheets, I keep saying Google Docs I think, but it's Google Sheets, not sponsored by Google Sheets. It's got all the links of the stuff that I've purchased or used or whatever. So you'll be able to find what I've got in there. It's like a corrugated plastic panel. It was super duper cheap, like beyond unbelievable kind of cheap. It may be something I change away from. We'll see what we feel like when we get to that point. I might switch out to fully polycarbonate panels or something, but it's so expensive to do. And if there's no real benefit, then I'm probably not going to spend the money to do it. Thanks, James. Ultraprint has add-ons to get that out of the bed. I always recommend flat beds over trying to compensate. Compensation is fine if you did everything you could to try and get it flat and you need a bit of extra help. But really, it's much better to do everything you can do to get it flat with the right parts. Right, so we've now got a Voron frame with some rails on it. Look at that. That's pretty neat, isn't it? Excuse the weird accent, don't know where that came from. Nice to see YouTube still on point. We've got simultaneously 86 and 49 viewers. Who knows? Don't forget to leave a like if you don't mind and subscribe. That'd be fantastic. I mean, subscribing is probably mostly if you want to make sure you're here for the next stream. So, switching to look at the instructions. So we've got our staggered fasteners. We recommend staggering them the way the diagram shows. Fastener count will differ depending on your machine size. Sure. Also, I think my holes on the rails that I have are much closer than these. So they've got 4 screws and I've done 6. So yeah. I didn't actually realise that this is not that. I thought this was only showing part of the rail, but it's not showing the whole thing with 4 screws. So now we might not have enough screws. Who knows? Hopefully there's enough. Make sure to space the rails 3 mm off the bottom. Done that. Centered with the rail guide. Done that. Page intentionally left blank. Motors. Right. So, we don't have motors yet. Motors are coming on a ship. On a boat. The boat. So, I'm going to try this heat insert jig. What's the time? 1:47. We've got 15 minutes. I think we'll give the heat insert jig thing a bit of a go, and then that'll probably be it for today. So, this is kind of so the parts on here are PLA at the moment. I don't think it's going to be a problem because the heat should be sufficiently far away that they'll be absolutely fine. But it's the container. Oh, the container now. The boat is... Oh yeah, of course the boat's arrived, isn't it? So now they're just moving around the UK doing all the stuff that they need to do. Or are they sitting in the port waiting to be moved? So I'm going to put this... So this has some basic... I don't really know how to use this very well. It's got like 4 buttons and it doesn't really... The user interface is shocking. I'm going to go for 200 degrees Celsius because that should, in theory, be kind of hot enough. In fact, no, it probably won't, will it? For ABS. Oh, blimey. That's rather smoky. I think the smoke is just from the machining oil that's got to burn off a little bit. I'm not too worried about that. What I do need to do is find the right parts. XY joints. It doesn't sound like that's what we're doing. Doesn't look like the bits we need. This is all like skirts, skirt package and exhaust. There's so many printed parts, it's actually unbelievable. These look like the right kind of thing. Z drives, Z idlers. This is one thing that's very different to the rat rig. Like, rat rig is like, it seems much simpler. There's very few printed parts. That's not very few, there's quite a few. But there's, compared to this is barely any. So many parts. I'm looking for that. Is that that? Oh, maybe that is that. Is that that? That's not that. Those are actually not that. That's that. That's that. That is that. That is that. Alright, I don't know how long these are actually going to take to do. I've just realised I've not put any threaded inserts on here at the moment, so... So, we can get all the way down here. It's quite annoying that I have to travel so far. It'd be nice if I had like a little platform, or I could just move the... I might do that. So there's a little bump stop thing on the side here, which is basically a foot from a 3D printer. So I can unscrew that and move that down. And that'll change the height. There we go. Now we only have this much travel. Yes! I'm loving it, loving it, loving it. So we've got these threaded inserts. They're supposed to, I mean, it's a bit risky now. Gonna need a thing to you know what would have been a good idea? Having some parts to test this on. Oh dear. This is not going to go well, is it? I think we might not go for totally correct assembly today. Oh, so if we want it quick, then we're gonna move to 300 degrees Celsius. Maybe even 400. I really don't know how this is going to go. I just hope I don't mess these parts up in the process. You know what would have been good? I should have printed out something I could test these on before doing them. And also, they seem to definitely have an orientation. And I'm just guessing that I've got the right orientation. I don't really know. They have a... Can I show you how easy this is going to be? Oh, maybe here. Maybe here. That's too close. There you can see, so this end has like a... Oh no, the other end. That end of the brass insert has like a smooth part that will actually go into the hole a little bit. Oh, yep. Thank you. So I'm assuming you can just set that on there. Bring this in. Apply pressure. Shoop. Oh my God, that's amazing. Look at that. It's absolutely perfect. Ah. That's so good. I'm so glad of this. I don't know how easy it is without this jig. I want to do this all day. Oh. What was loud? Man, this jig is so good. Ooh, that's hot. Yeah, obviously the ones that you've just put in are hot, so don't press down on them. It's not messy, there's no like extra plastic, they're not going all wonky. Do 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 do. And they're like just flush. That one maybe could actually go a little bit more. This jig is so good. I do apologise for buttering my own bread a bit, but the jig was not my idea. They do already exist. But I did customise this one. And it works so well. The fact this end stop thing that holds it close is actually really nice as well. Yeah, the brass tool that's holding them. I mean, I probably should have put these things on the tip before I made it hot, and then I could have positioned those a bit better. But it feels like it doesn't matter too much. I think all the ones for Voron are all the same length, so if I was just getting a tool just to do Voron and didn't have any other plans, then I probably wouldn't need one this complex. But man, I mean, the fact that it's not pointing out too far, I guess, is also really good. I'm so happy with this. So, who wants a live stream of just me putting heat inserts into plastic all day? I've just had a thought. I could just line up all of them at the same time and then do them all one by one. This has got a bit of a weird thing on it. Right, what's the chance of me being able to do all of these without them falling out? This is so satisfying. This is the most satisfying I think I've done in a long time. Is everyone else enjoying this process as much as I am? I'm definitely putting heat inserts on everything. Every design ever now needs heat inserts because this process is just the best. Do 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 do. Boop. Do 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 do. Boop. Do 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 do. Oh no, lost one. They all look like they're just perfectly straight as well. Heat insert ASMR. I don't feel like I'm going to have enough heat inserts. 100. Is 100 enough? Excuse me. Have I ordered the wrong amount? You mean so I don't press them in too far? The challenge is, because obviously this whole part, oh, you can't see it all, but obviously here all the way up to the handle is all really hot. So any guide that's preventing you going, I can just put a stop on here, can't I? So if I put a stop like here, I put how far I want it and then stop, and then it'll just go to there every time and I can't overdo it. Oh, that'd be fantastic. Oh. The handle part where I'm gripping is getting a bit warm. So I'm thinking PLA needs to be changed to ABS there. Which was kind of expected. I mean, I only printed it out of PLA because I just didn't know what was going to work and what wasn't. Oh. This one I can't see where one starts and the next stops. There we go. Maybe a touch further. James, I see you know when you mentioned about the threaded inserts and where one's starting and stopping, I'm absolutely seeing that issue. Like you can't see whether you've pushed this one in or this one's starting to go in. The pattern on them's identical. I see. I was actually thinking of automating it. The thing is, it would be great to automate it, but having not done it before, I do really like the amount of control this gives me. So I can go further than I want to. I can move it as fast as I need to. I can apply the amount of force that I think is right. Whereas as soon as you start automating it, unless you know what all of those factors are to do correctly, I think chances are you'd end up getting them wrong. That was the most amazing heat insert pressing I've ever done. I've not done any other heat insert pressing. But anyway, that was really, really good. We've just made it over 2 hours. And I've no idea how many people are watching. About 100? YouTube thinks it might be 55 or 100. It's a gamble. We'll roll the dice and find out. I want to do a little bit more of this. So we'll carry on for maybe another 30 minutes. Or just some different threaded, I think just plain brass something. Oh, the number of people. Right, okay, yeah. 101's pretty good, isn't it? Cool. Do we need any more? I just want to do more heat inserts, really. That's really what I want to do at the moment. Look, we found some more we can do. Let's get these parts and do those as well. Is it this one? I think that's one, isn't it? That looks like one of the ones. Is that one of the ones? I think there's another one of the ones. That's one of the ones. That's one of the ones. Looks like we don't have those other bits. Oh no, that is the ones. Okay, it's the ends of these. Yeah, there's all sorts of things that I can do to improve. I'm just happy I found some more ways to do brass inserts. So now that these are higher, I think I might adjust my little thing. That sounded weird. I can just move this bump stop up. Why am I always grabbing the wrong ones? I told you that would happen, didn't I? Because they're not coloured. You grab what looks right, and chances are you're always wrong. Ooh, did I? No, we're okay. Ooh, who's ready for some more brass inserts? I do this and I this. This is getting very warm. Surprisingly warm. That's freaking hot. I guess the thing is, maybe it's designed, the whole soldering iron is designed to be held this way, so the convection is going up and away, whereas the orientation I'm using it in makes the handle hot. It's not ideal, is it? What to call the handle. I probably don't need to go quite that far. This is what my YouTube channel is going to become now. We're just going to rename to heat insert jig channel. Because there's no way anything can be more fun than this. Oof. No, it needs to go a bit more. Nice. Part of the reason this works so well is because all the direction that I need to push them is all just perfectly set up. So the parts are obviously perpendicular to the table, the surface is parallel to the table rather, so the direction is perpendicular. If there were weird angles and stuff, this jig wouldn't, I'd need to modify it to work that way, but this is just so happy. So happy. The printed parts are excellent quality, yeah. I got them from Print It Forward, so all the parts were printed on a Voron. One more. There we go. Let's turn that off. I think that's as many as we're going to find today. So, jigs, temperatures, all fine. The only thing I need to change, I think, is make this grip part out of ABS, because the handle does get a little bit warm and PLA is going to soften very, very quick. In fact, top of it's probably fine. I reckon the bottom of this handle, yeah, it's literally soft. Like, I can press my fingernail into it. But, I mean, for a first try, I think that's done super, super well. I'm so happy with that. Oh yeah, we're building a printer. What bits can I do here? There's no point putting thread lock on these things. You can't see my, here we go. There's no point doing this and doing this because I don't have my motors yet. We can put this together though, I think. We can do thread lock on that, on the bearings and that kind of stuff. So we can have a go at that. Although it's should we start? I think maybe we'll start with this next time. We've done the frame today. We could say we've done frame. And that then works quite well for the series. Wow, my voice is really fucked, isn't it? Wow, the viewership went up a lot from doing heat inserts. That's amazing. I think we'll stop there today. It's been great seeing everyone. Thank you for joining in. Next time we'll get started on doing all the Z motors. Fingers crossed for the next stream we'll have some motors available. No promises, but hopefully we do. If not, we'll just kind of carry on past it. I think we can go back to those after. They're like their own little module. So if we can't do them then, we can go back to them at a later date. But for now, I'm going to sign off. Thank you very much again to the sponsors, Filafarm and BigTreeTech. You got BigTreeTech Octopus and the Filafarm printed beds. Check the links in the description. Should be absolutely great. Thank you very much. I'll see you all in the next one. And don't forget, heat threaded insert jigs are amazing. Oh, when is the next part? I don't know. You'll have soon. It won't be Monday. I've got a different live stream I've got to do on Monday, sometime during the week, and then we'll go back to the weekenders on. So there will be one next weekend, hopefully, but there should be one during the week, maybe. Other than that, we're done for now. Yes, I think we're done, right? Yes, probably. Oh. What if... No. We're not going to crush a duck under a heat insert jig. Cool. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the very next stream. Goodbye.